Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. I hope you are having a wonderful day. Today I am going to make a bright birthday arrangement just in a glass vase filled with fresh water and floral food. I'm going to add, this is a bouquet that we got from our local grower. It came from Budsy. It's not a local grower, it's just the grower that we use for all of our flowers and foliage. And we've been very, very pleased with their foliage and with all the products that we get from them. So this is just a mixed bouquet of foliage. This is a little bit of leather leaf, and I am just taking that leather leaf, I'm cutting it at an angle, and I'm tucking it right into the vase. Now you have to be careful because you don't want the foliage to fall below the water line. And so after I arrange the flowers, I will pull them right out and trim up some of the foliage so that it's not falling below that water line. I'm just greening out this container. So I am using a little bit of leather leaf. This is variegated pittosporum that I'm tucking in. And I'm just using my floral knife and cutting my foliage at an angle. Now the only thing about pit is it is really hard to cut with a floral knife. There we go. It's got a very woody stem, and so it's hard to cut through with my floral knife. Next I'm going to use, this is called Israeli Ruscus. Now there's two different varieties of ruscus that we like to use. This Israeli is very cost effective. It's very inexpensive, but it gives you a pretty texture in your arrangement. And then there's also a foliage called Italian Ruscus. Italian Ruscus has a viney look, very pretty, very high end. I don't use it a whole lot because it's fairly pricey, and so you won't see me use it except on special occasions. I just honestly hate to use all my money in my foliage. Not that I don't absolutely love foliage, but I hate to use my money on foliage when I could put it in my flowers, right? These are called aspidistra leaves. This is a solid colored aspidistra leaf, and I'm going to show you, this leaf is slightly split right here at the tip. So I'm going to show you, instead of using it just right down in there, I'm going to take it, catch it at that tip, and I'm going to make just a little bit of a loop with that aspidistra leaf. So I've just caught it right there at the stem. I'm going to take a third of a piece of florist wire, and I'm just going to wrap it right around the tip. Therefore it holds and it makes just a pretty little loop. Okay, I'm going to tuck that right down in there. The next foliage I'm going to use is a little bit of myrtle, and this is going to give us some height in this arrangement. So I'm going to take this, strip it down, and tuck a little myrtle in the top. Now you've seen me use these bouquets in several of our videos. I just really enjoy using them. Now we don't use them usually but for holidays. So we actually got these in for the Valentine holiday. The wonderful thing about foliage though is as long as you take good care of it, it's going to last and last. And so it works out nice because you really don't waste foliage because it lasts so long. Okay, so I put us a little bit of myrtle. I've got some beautiful bear grass here that I will use at the end of the video, or at the end of the arrangement. I'm going to clean up my mess a little bit. Next we're going to come in with some bales of Ireland for height. So I'm going to take these bales and I'm going to pinch that tip out of the bale. And really that's not for any reason except I like them pinched out. You can absolutely leave that tip in there if you want to, but I just like them trimmed up a little bit. All right, next I'm going to come in with some blue delphinium. You have some pretty blue delphinium as a line flower. Delphinium's such a pretty color. I love this pretty blue. That tip is broken, so I'm just gonna pinch it right out. Okay, and look at that one. That one's so pretty, isn't it? All right, so there are some Bells of Ireland, some blue delphinium. I have a couple of stems of royal purple stock. I just thought this would be pretty. So this arrangement is for a birthday celebration for a sweet lady. And so they just said very vibrant, lots of color. So that's exactly what we're doing here. We've got the blue delphinium, the purple stock, the green Bells of Ireland. Next I have this beautiful oriental lily. Now it's amazing. It has 5 blooms. 1, 2, 3 full open, and then 2, this one's starting to open and this one's partially open, and a bud. So that's 1 stem. That's amazing that it has so many pretty flowers. So I'm going to take my arrangement and I'm going to tuck that lily right there in the front. And it smells so pretty. The wonderful part about lilies too is that over time they're going to open up. So you get to enjoy them longer because you have different variations of its openness. So that's always nice. I'm going to take this hydrangea. This is just a pretty white hydrangea. I removed the foliage from the hydrangea. I'm going to take it and dip it in just some quick dip. Now this quick dip is just a hydrating solution that helps that hydrangea to stay pretty for a longer period of time. Now, if you do not have the quick dip, you can absolutely take alum, which is a powder. You can get it at the grocery store, and you can dip. I usually wet the stem because it's a powder. So I will wet the stem of my flower and then dip it into that alum. And what that alum's gonna do is exactly what that quick dip does. It just keeps that head, it keeps it hydrated for a longer period of time. All right, so I have my hydrangeas in place. So I put one on each side here, and then I put one back there in the back. Next, I'm going to come in with, let's see, some beautiful yellow roses. I'm not exactly sure the variety of this rose, but I love that it's more of a pale yellow. I think any yellow is beautiful, but it's really a very pretty buttery yellow color. I'm going to take this rose and I'm going to wire it. And I'm going to set it to the side. I'm going to wire each of these roses. I like to use about 1/3 of a piece of 21 gauge florist wire to wire my roses. That's the same gauge that I use for most things except corsage work. And for corsage work, we usually use 18 gauge. It's just a lighter weight gauge, and it works perfect for corsage work. But this 21 gauge is not too heavy of a gauge, and it's not too light of a gauge. It's just right. All right, so I have all of my roses wired. I'm going to take my floral knife. I remove any of those rose thorns just because they bite. I'm going to cut that stem at an angle and tuck that right into this arrangement. Be careful and look where you're sticking things. You don't want to mess up a lily. All right, so I've got my 5 roses tucked into that arrangement. Next, I'm going to come in with some bright red Gerbera daisies. Look how pretty these guys are. So the one thing about this arrangement is they wanted lots of color, and so that's why I went ahead and chose the red Gerberas. Look at how pretty and vibrant that is. And I really think the red, I just thought that they would be pretty and bright and showy. So I'm going to take these, and the same as I did with my roses, I am going to press that wire right into the disc on the back side of that Gerbera, and I am going to wire that stem. Now that gives me a little bit of a way to manipulate this head a little bit. Gerbera daisies don't always mind, and so I like to be able to manipulate their heads just a little bit. Now be very careful when doing such. Their stems are a little bit brittle and they'll break fairly easily. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my smaller bloom. So here's my smaller bloom, and it's going to go higher in the arrangement. My heavier bloom will come down lower. So I'm going to kind of stair step these flowers. I'm taking my floral knife, cutting that at an angle, and tucking the smaller bloom right down into that arrangement. So he's just up there happy and looking out. I'm going to take the next bloom, cut that stem at an angle, and tuck him right below the top Gerbera. So just like that. And then I have a third bloom that I think I'll take and tuck him right over here to the side. Now you need to be sure that you're hitting that water, so make sure you work him down in. There we go. So he's tucked over there to the side. And those two guys are looking out there. Next, I'm going to come in with some pretty lavender daisies. This kind of springs up this arrangement. Makes it a little more springy, I think. Almost like Easter. Don't these sweet little lavender daisies look pretty and Eastery? So I'm going to take this stem, that's one stem of daisies. So it actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 blooms on one stem of daisies, which is crazy. That's a lot of bang for your buck, right? The wonderful part about a stem of daisies is they are the longest lasting. They remind you of a carnation in their longevity. So I tucked that pretty daisy right back there in the back. It's a wonderful thing to be able to put flowers all the way around in an arrangement, because then it's pretty from all sides. Now, I personally like to make the front a little prettier because I want it to be, you know, of course, the focal. But there's a stem of daisies here and a stem of daisies back here in the back. And then lastly, I'm going to set this little guy over here. I'm going to add a little bit of green dragon as my filler flower. Now, the thing about green dragon is it's really more in the foliage family than it is in a filler family. But it's very pretty and lacy. And so I'm using it as my filler flower. So I'm just taking individual pieces off of one stem. So this is one stem that I'm cutting from. So you get a lot. So I'm taking it and I'm cutting those stems, and I am just tucking it all the way around in this arrangement, just like it's a filler flower. Like a Solidago aster or a Monte Cassino aster, you're going to use it the exact same way. And it's just kind of a little lacy type of foliage. And it looks so fresh, so pretty and green and springy. So I'm going to take that floral knife, cut it at an angle, and just tuck that right in. All right, there's our pretty arrangement. I'm going to put this guy back in, and I'm going to tuck him right up here kind of in the top. that aspidistra back in. Okay, now to finish off this arrangement, because it's for a birthday, it's a birthday celebration, we're gonna put a bright colored ribbon on this arrangement. So I've got lots of colored ribbons, and so we're going to make a pretty bow. I'm going to start out with the pink, and this is a sheer pink. It does not have a wire. I'm going to make several loops. So I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to lay it right up underneath my thumb. I'm going to pull that wire down, twist it tightly, and then I'm just going to fluff my bow. So see how fun that bow is? Next I'm going to take just a Koei wood pick, which is a 6-inch wood pick. I'm going to lay that wire right on that wood pick, and I'm just going to wrap it right around that stem. And there you have it. There is a bright colored arrangement to celebrate a birthday. Now the last thing I did tell you that we were going to work with some of this bear grass. Let's go ahead and add this to the arrangement. It gives a lot of movement to the arrangement, and we have it, so let's use it. I'm going to take just a handful, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a loop with that little handful of grass. I'm going to take one of my pieces of wire, and I'm just going to wrap it right around that grass, just like that, okay? And I am just going to tuck that little loop right over into that vase. Separate it. It gives it just a little movement, a little texture. See, it's kind of tucked there. And then I'm going to take this other handful. I'm going to also wire it together because I want to make sure that it stays together. It's just so much easier to work with if it's in a bunch. And then I am going to tuck it right up here in the top of the arrangement to just give a little movement. And there you have it. There is our pretty spring birthday celebration arrangement. Guys, thank you so much for being here today. If you have any questions about how we do things here at our shop or how I made this arrangement, don't hesitate to ask those questions down in the comments. Also, if you are not following our business on Facebook or TikTok or here on YouTube, be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and check us out over on our other social media. Guys, you have a great afternoon, and we will see you all real soon. Thank you.